Good evening. This is, I'm going to convene, not call to order, the Employment and Compensation Committee meeting for the Nassau Interim Finance Authority. It is 7:10 p.m. In the absence of the committee's chair, the members of the committee may, and in this case will, nominate and elect a temporary chair for the committee for the duration of the meeting. So would somebody like to make a nomination?
I'll nominate Christopher Wright.
Second.
Okay, I'll accept. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. And so with that, we'll proceed and call the meeting to order. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes of our meeting from July 25th, 2017. Those have been distributed in advance. Would anybody like to move that we approve them?
Motion to move.
Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. The minutes are approved. The second item is to appoint an employee of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority. Evan, would you like to walk us through that, please?
On April 6th, staff began a comprehensive search to find a qualified candidate to fill the vacancy that will be created by the imminent resignation and retirement of our current Chief Administrator, Lori Giardina. And our search included posting the job opening on an online website and seeking referrals from our former and current county contacts. We received approximately 150 resumes, and at the end of the process, staff chose a candidate to join NIFA and is recommending that Kathy Stella, who's sitting on the end in the first row, we're recommending that Kathy Stella be appointed to be NIFA's next chief administrator. And consideration of Kathy Stella for the soon-to-be vacant corporate secretary position will be acted on by the full board later at the board meeting.
Great. My only question would be, obviously, was this an open recruitment process, and did you review or at least receive resumes from multiple candidates?
It was an open process, and we reviewed approximately 150 resumes.
So that's more than one. Yeah. Okay, good.
And narrowed that down to 10 candidates. And then Kathy was selected from among those 10 candidates.
Any questions from the other members? Would somebody like to move the resolution?
Move the appointment.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye. And that motion is carried. And for the record, the Employment and Compensation Committee does have the power to hire employees, and so Kathy is now hired and officially an employee of NIFA, so congratulations and welcome aboard.
Welcome.
We'll take action later regarding making you an officer in the full board. But with that, I would entertain a motion for adjourning this committee meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
This committee is adjourned. By the way, your overwhelming support was heartwarming. Thank you for that. We will move now into the Audit and Internal Controls Committee of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority, which I am calling to order at 7:13. The first item of business is the approval of the minutes from our October 17th, 2017 meeting, where we received a report on the audit scope from RSM, among other things. Would somebody care to make a motion of the members of the Audit Committee? And I would point out that that is also Adam, John, and myself, Mr. Petracca being absent for this meeting. So would somebody like to
I'll
move
make a
that?
motion.
Made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye, and the minutes are approved. The second item of the agenda, which is an item in 6 parts, is where we will walk through a number of matters, and I believe Carl will turn that over to you, and you'll walk us through with the assistance of RSM. I would also point out that we are seated here as an audit committee, but the entire board is present. And so when we get to the full board meeting, we may not spend the same amount of time repeating all of this information since all of the board members are here present. And I would just open up the fact that board members who are here who are not members of the committee should feel free to ask questions at this time so that we're able to move the items as a block in the full board meeting. Carl.
Thank you and good evening. I prepared the financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2017, with the assistance of Albrecht, Vigiano, and Zurich, our outside accountants. What remains at this point in time is the approval of the audit committee, and then of the full board of directors, after which we can file the reports with regulatory authorities. I'll let Jen Katz, our engagement partner, take you through our financial statements in greater detail if you wish, but I'll summarize our results. Our net position improved by $131,009,000, which was primarily brought about by paying $129,666,000 in debt for sales tax receipts. This trend will continue as we withhold from sales tax receipts to service our debt. Our net position is now negative $661,021,000 and will continue to decrease as we continue to reduce our outstanding debt which was $653,984,000 at the end of last year. There were no major events or major pronouncements that materially affected this past audit engagement. Despite the promulgation of 4 new accounting pronouncements in 2017, none of them affected NYFA's financial statements. There is a slight change to the management discussion and analysis, the litigation section, where a recent event necessitated the change to the litigation section. However, this change is not adverse, and it concludes for the time being the matter.
And for the public that's here present and who might view this later, that was the successful conclusion in federal court of the wage freeze case. In the earlier draft, it was still pending a judicial determination, and that happened between the draft and today's date. So.
I'm happy to answer any questions.
And again, for the public present and also viewing perhaps later on, the lack of questions should not indicate a lack of interest. The full materials have been in the hands of the board for some time now, and so we've had a chance to review them and be able to ask questions if we had any. With that, I believe RSM probably has some required communications, and we want to make sure that you're able to discharge your responsibilities. So, Jen, why don't you join us? How is public accounting? Still good? You're going to stay in the business?
I got home this morning from the GFOA conference, actually, in St. Louis, so
Sorry about that.
the profession's still going strong. So, good evening. I would like to present to you the required communications. I think all of the committee members should have this presentation.
All right.
If you could please turn to page 1. The first item I want to point out is that we have completed our audit of the financial statements as of and for the year ended December 31st, 2017. We are planning to issue an unmodified opinion on those financial statements, or clean or unqualified, depending on what year you started
And
hearing us
I'll
talk
interrupt you
about it.
briefly, and that only mattered recently this week when we were reading this morning about a qualified opinion that the town of Oyster Bay received in 2013, and the word qualified would make it sound like that was a good thing, when in fact that's a qualification to the opinion that suggests that the financials were in that case incorrect.
It's something that requires
Right.
additional emphasis in the opinion.
Right. So unqualified is not that the people are unqualified or that the situation is, it's that there are no qualifications to the
Yes.
opinion.
Management has the ultimate responsibility of the appropriateness of the accounting policies. There were no new accounting pronouncements for fiscal 17 that had an impact on the financial statements. I do want to point out for next year, GASB 75 will become effective for NYFA. This is related to OPEB. It is a big overhaul by the GASB, similar to the pension overhaul, GASB 68. The way that NYFA currently records their OPEB liability, however, means that there actually will not be a material impact on NYFA's financial statements. I don't want to get into all of the actuarial jargon, but right now NYFA is already recording the full actuarial liability, so there really will not be a big impact going
So that was an election decision we made at the inception of the current standard, and it sounds like that was the right thing to do then.
Yes, so under the
Right.
current standard, you can amortize it over 30 years, but NYFA and the county as a whole are amortizing over 1 year,
Right.
which means you're picking up your full unfunded actuarial liability.
With every financial statement. Right.
Yep.
No surprises, nothing to trip over later. It's just the way we approached it. So, okay.
We did not identify any significant or unusual transactions during the performance of the audit. And at the bottom of page 1, you'll see for audit adjustments and uncorrected misstatements, happy to report there were no audit adjustments that were required while performing the audit, and there are no uncorrected misstatements, which are items that maybe we identified during the audit that weren't material enough to be recorded. So we had
Great.
no matters. Before I get into the content on page 2, I want to just talk about the fact that the financial statements are prepared on the basis that NYFA will continue as a going concern. One may wonder why that is, given the significant net deficit, as Carl pointed out, of approximately $660 million.
Right.
Because of the way that NYFA is structured, that any excess funding from sales tax is then remitted to the county once principal payments are paid down and G&A is paid for. NYFA will always have this net deficit, but sales tax has continued to be more than sufficient to meet your debt requirements each year. And in looking at the debt schedule, in 3 years from now, you'll actually cut your net deficit in half.
Right. And I would add that we're at the point now where the debt is just under $700 million, and so it is actually less than 1 year's sales tax in total.
Yes.
So you could actually cover all the debt in 1 year if you had to,
Correct.
so.
And part of the net deficit is also a premium that gets amortized every year, so that will continue to decrease as well.
You wouldn't want to, Howard, you could if you had to.
Well, if you want to have police. you
Oh, I
can
understand,
when you
yeah.
need them. I don't
Oh,
know.
no, I understand. But it's, from an accounting perspective, there's an asset coverage that's pretty helpful, pretty healthy, so, yeah.
So we encounter no disagreements with management during the performance of the audit. We're not aware of any consultations that management may have had with other accountants. The preparation, or the assistance with the preparation of the financial statements by AVZ is not considered a consultation.
And fully disclosed to you as well?
Yes.
Right, okay.
We have on page 3 a summary of significant accounting estimates. We talked briefly about OPEB already. The other significant accounting estimate in NIFA's financial statements are the fair value of interest rate swaps. They rebounded a little bit in 2017, but still do have a negative fair market value
Right.
of approximately $22 million. Based on the audit procedures we performed, we have found management's estimates to be reasonable.
And in that instance, we also have help too. I mean,
Yes.
it's not an accounting firm, but we do have a consultant to help us value the.
Yes, so we
the
consider
swaps.
that a management specialist, and when
Right.
management uses a specialist, we use our own internal specialist to evaluate the work.
Okay,
Exhibit A has the draft rep letter that we will request from management, and with the receipt of the signed rep letter and your approval of the financials, we will be in a position to issue.
great. So I have a few questions for you. These might sound familiar, because we ask them every year, but during the course of the audit, you had full access to all records,
We did,
and you had full and complete answers to all questions.
yes.
Is there anything in the rep letter that is sort of an audit step that is being used because you couldn't get satisfaction
No.
in any other way?
No, we don't have.
And you're aware that, and we've said this before, that if there ever came a time where the answers to those questions were different, or you felt the need to reach out or report something to the board, you have access through me as the chair, any member of the audit committee, or any member of the board for that matter.
Yes, and we appreciate that, and also in turn, if there's anything that any of the committee members are aware of that I need to know now, or any updates to our prior discussions, just would appreciate letting me know at this time.
Any?
I'd like just to.
I do have a question.
Per
Okay.
what
Go ahead.
Carl's comments earlier about the April 26th decision by the court
Right.
dismissing the union's case. That's a material piece of information I presume will be amended.
It was,
or
yeah.
Yes.
Added to the.
Yeah.
So the litigation is disclosed in the management's discussion and analysis, so a new sentence will be added
Right.
to explain that that matter is now closed and there is no
Right.
liability for NIFA.
In fact, the draft even indicated a different judge's name, and obviously that changed too, so we had to, yeah. No, but the judge is different and the decision came down, so you have to update that disclosure, so.
I have a question. Do you anticipate any material modifications to the representation letter?
No.
John?
Just a question with regard to the fair value estimate on the gas street. I'm assuming that it's the same as, criteria the same as under GAAP.
It is very similar to FASB GAAP, where it has to qualify as a hedge to be accounted for the way that it is, and it's marked to market. These are plain vanilla swaps, so they're marked to market.
And it's got sensitivities on both sides, the same way for effectiveness testing?
Yep.
Okay,
It's regression analysis in all of these, for all of the swaps.
good.
Jen, I have a question. I'd be interested in your history with other public benefit corporations. And I'm reading your summary of significant accounting policies, and you give a good description of what NIFA is. And it's something that grabs me because I think it's unique to us, and I'd be interested in the other audits that you work with that handle public benefit corporations, the absence of any vice chair. And the reason I ask that question, during my tenure, we've had 2 different chairs, both excellent, but we've had that period of time where, in the absence of it, it really had a dramatic impact on the business of this organization. So it's something I've advocated for quite a bit, but I want to know, am I alone in the uniqueness of this with NIFA? Is it typical to have a public benefit corporation with that not having appointed vice chair?
So when it is dictated as to who should make up a committee, of course, you want all of those positions to be, to be spoken for and to have somebody. Best practice would be to have the position filled.
Yep.
But there are often many situations where you would see someone appointed as kind of a fill-in in the absence of an official person in that position. But I would agree that best practice would be to have someone in that role.
And just to be clear, no governor in the history of NIFA has ever appointed a vice chair from among the members. We just haven't had one, so,
Jeremy,
right.
as a follow-up on that, because it's a big issue, because I remember clearly, we were in that period of time before Adam was appointed. It really had an impact, and a negative impact, in my opinion, and slowed things down. And with your understanding of the law and our ability to chair and have the meeting, and plus the lower amount of contracts to be approved, could you comment briefly on, what our restrictions are in the absence of a chairman? I mean, I don't think we can have a public meeting.
Cannot.
The chairman is the only one who can call a public meeting. So in the absence of the chairman, we can't hold a meeting.
Right.
And in the absence of the chairman, if you had a vice chairman, the vice chairman could call a meeting.
Right. Okay.
But absent a vice chairman, we totally rely on the chairman.
Yeah,
And
and
any-
just, just to add to that,
Just let us know.
committees, have their purpose, and you want the differing opinions, and you want different eyes looking at things to get different points of views, and that's why it's very important to have that.
Okay. Any other questions for Jen from RSM on the financials or any of the addenda that we have been providing in advance for our review?
Just one comment, you had mentioned about the pension funding, and I just make a
OPEB.
note.
It was the OPEB. Yeah.
Yes, well, the,
The
something we discussed years ago when Jeremy retired, and, the net dollars reflected in here, 2015 through 2017, reflected exactly what we had stated back when you did retire. Our pension funding net outlays has declined through all those years, and it's something I wanted to make sure we delivered on what we said we were going to do, and it did, and it's
did.
reflected here.
And we'll see that in the, we have the 4-month budget versus actual for 2018, which we'll go through as well. Any more questions for Jen? We do have a resolution then for the receipt and acceptance of the auditor's report, which is Resolution 18-67. So if either Mr. Buren or Mr.
I'll
Barsky
move
can
that.
move that. Made?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye, and we have received and accepted the report. You should expect a rep letter in due course.
Thank you.
Very short. And thank you for your assistance and for your team's assistance for another professional audit. We appreciate the relationship, the open dialogue, your willingness to come before us and answer questions at any and all times. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along, we have, so that, with that, I think we've done, Carl, we did a resolution on the audited financial statements. Do we have to do a secondary resolution on the investment guidelines, or is that a? I
Well,
believe
first, we have to do the annual report.
We do have to do the annual report.
That's behind tab number
Okay.
3.
So tab 3, which is the annual report, which includes the financial statements.
That's right.
Right. And so we have to adopt that as well. Hang on, let me get that out of the book. I thought that was a separate agenda item. Okay. So, Resolution 18-68, which is the receipt and acceptance of the statutory reports, not just the auditor's opinion, is also before us for a vote. Do you want to go through the materials? All right.
Okay. So NIFA is required to annually issue numerous reports pursuant to the NIFA Act, the Public Authorities Law, and the Public Authorities Accountability Act of 2005.
Right.
2017 annual report, which is behind tab number 3,
Yep.
although actually distributed as a separate
distributed separately.
handout, is one such report. The report briefly discusses the structure, mission, and accomplishments of the authority through December 31st, 2017. It also includes a summary of key litigation, which actually, I suppose, we need to update
As well.
for this, what's that?
Yeah, it's a copy from the financial
Right.
statements. Yes.
The annual report is as of the close of 2017.
Right.
Canon.
We just have to bring everything down to the date of the auditor's report, any subsequent events for audit.
Not the annual
Right.
report. The annual
Right.
do sometimes include substitute.
It had mirror language. So there are also a number of attachments to the annual report that must be
Right.
filed annually for compliance with the aforementioned laws
Right.
and acts. So as listed in the committee materials, these reports include the authority's report on debt issuance,
Which is tab 2.
the audited financial statements, which
We've just
was
moved on.
considered by the committee and will be inserted into the middle of the annual report.
Yeah.
The report on investments,
Which is tab 3,
prompt payment report,
which is tab 4,
the procurement contracts guidelines,
which is tab 5,
property disposition report,
which is tab 6.
and the next tab is mission statement and measurement report. And the last item in the annual report is the code of ethics.
Which is 7 and 8. Got it.
Right. For completeness, each year, we attach the NIFA's, the NIFA Act and NIFA's bylaws, though not required.
For those of you who don't carry it around in your briefcase.
So the report and attachments are submitted for your review and recommendation
Yep.
that they be approved by the board in the meeting following this audit committee.
Great.
Just for the purposes of the meeting and the public, have there been any material changes to any of these policies? And as a result of passing these items tonight, will we be in full compliance with the Public Authorities Reform Act?
We will be in compliance, and actually, the guidelines that were included in the annual report, and it gets confusing, are the guidelines and policies that were approved by the board last year, in 2017. We're going to also be submitting other guidelines for approval at the board meeting, but there are no material changes in those either.
Right. In fact, the one that always strikes me, the Code of Ethics, we actually mark the dates on which we've changed it, and you can see that it's been rolled forward consistently on or about this time of year since 2006, the last time there was a substantive change to the underlying baseline rules. So, okay. Any questions, other questions for Evan? If not, Resolution 1868, which is to receive and accept those various reports 1 through 8, is in order.
Motion to move?
Made, second, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I vote aye, and the motion is carried. With that, Evan, are the investment guidelines to be considered separately?
Yes, that's
Okay.
separate. Those are new guidelines, although no changes.
Okay, and those were in the book as well?
That's behind tab number 4 of the audit committee book.
Oh, the audit committee book, got it, okay. So let's just make sure that we've all
And then,
seen that and comfortable with that.
what is when will any of these be posted online and made available to the public?
As soon as we could take the word draft off the,
Right.
so
Okay.
we're going to attempt to do that tomorrow.
Great.
We'll receive the opinions tomorrow morning, the signed opinions, at which point we can do the final version.
Great.
Great.
So, item 4, was there a separate resolution for investment guidelines?
There is. And-
Okay.
And
I'll
these,
move it.
Okay, that's 18-69. It's been made, is it seconded?
Second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye, and that resolution passes as well. With that, we have gone from the business that requires us to vote to some discussion items. Carl, if you could walk us through the 4-month budget versus actual?
Yes, we have 2 discussion items that are before you. The first one is the authority's activity for the first 4 months of the fiscal year on a cash basis. If you'll take a look at the comparison of the actual budget, you can see that each of the line items are at or below 1/3 of the year, with 1/3 of the budgeted amount, with 1/3 of the year having passed.
So my only question is a third of the 2 million in revenue would be about 675, and we've only retained 400 at this point. Is that just based on timing of when we need the cash?
When we need the cash,
Okay.
exactly right.
Because our spending seems to be about on par
We
with
won't
that.
take any more cash than what we need in order to maintain proper operating balances.
And then I see we've had modest spending on SCAD and ARPS, obviously on some legal matters, probably relative to the recent decision. Are we expecting that to decrease over time, or would we have to wait until we know whether appeals are going to happen from a legal perspective?
From your mouth to God's ears, we hope
We'll try
it
that.
will diminish.
But, okay.
We always are very careful using customary
We've been very good about underspending that budget line item, and I think at some point, it's a control period item related to litigation. If the litigation ceases, that might go to zero or close to it, which would be good. Okay. And that's a discussion item. We don't need to vote on that, or
That's
it's
correct.
good to have. Any questions for Carl from any board member, for that matter, on the budget versus actual? Okay. Then the last item is the internal controls review.
That's correct. What you have before you is a status report of NIFA's internal controls, which is to be presented each year. In it, we note the steps taken to support our system of internal controls during the prior year. As a result of the steps we took last year, we at the staff level are satisfied that our system of internal control is effective in safeguarding assets that pass through our control and in detecting any errors in a timely manner. The purpose of this report is to inform you of the status of the internal control system, and no action is required on your part. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
I vote aye. The audit committee is adjourned. We can go to the regular board meeting.
Okay, moving right along, we will now call to order the regular board meeting for the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority, Tuesday, May 8th. And we'll move to the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of April 3rd. Does anybody have any comments, or is there a motion?
I will move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm abstaining as well.
It passes. We're
Okay,
good on four.
passes.
4 passes.
Next item,
Mr. Chairman, I think items 2,
Two.
3, and 4 are carryovers from the audit committee, and since the full board was present at that committee, I would move those as a block.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those items all carry. Next is the readoption of amended procurement contracts, guidelines, and the taking of related actions.
Mr. Chair.
Sure.
The board may want to also consider action items 5, 6, and 7. I'll explain each of them, but you may want to consider them all as one block.
I'll get it on the table and move them as a block so we can discuss them as a block. 1 second.
Second.
Good?
So now, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so item number 5, the procurement contracts guidelines. They govern the authority's procurement contracts, which are agreements for the acquisitions of goods and services of any kind. Number 6, action item 6, the property disposition contract guidelines. They govern the use, awarding, monitoring, and reporting of contracts for the disposal of property. And item 7 are the code of ethics, and they list the standards and principles of conduct that applies to the authority's employees, directors, and former employees. So they are being considered, submitted to the board for your approval.
I have no
Any-
questions.
Any questions, comments? Otherwise, take a motion.
Made and seconded.
Is it block? Second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that carries.
Mr. Chairman, on item 8, at the earlier Employment and Compensation Committee meeting,
Yes.
we unanimously approved Kathy Stella as an employee of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority, and I believe are now considering a motion to appoint her as an officer, and I move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I just want to make some comments.
Sure.
So after almost 18 years of serving NIFA in this capacity as corporate secretary, Lori Giardina will be leaving us shortly to begin the next phase of her life down in North Carolina. This is Lori's last meeting, of course, at least in person. And I emphasize in person because I am confident, very confident, that Lori, you'll be religiously watching each of our meetings webcasts online.
And you can follow Scott on Twitter, too.
Because that would be a healthy diversion from your more boring recreational activities, such as lounging by your pool, probably with a glass of wine in hand, or playing games like pickleball or cards with your new Southern friends.
Oh, boy.
And make sure she's still on the clips list.
Yeah, right.
Now,
Exactly. You need to get the news every day.
That said, Lori's not officially retiring until May 19th, although this Friday will be her last day in our office. And I want to personally thank Lori for her time at NIFA. Good colleagues are the kind of people you can rely on, get along with, share a joke or two, and ask for help, and Lori's definitely all of these things. So on behalf of the office, I think I can say that all of us would say that Lori's presence will be missed in our office. So that's, I was going to say without further ado, you should consider appointing
right.
Kathy as the corporate secretary,
We
but
did
you've
that.
already done that.
Well, we probably have one more item
Well,
of
I think
business.
everybody echoes, I think, your comments, Evan, and thank you again for all your service. And we do want to consider a resolution of appreciation. I'd like to hand it over.
I have a copy here.
Okay.
Whereas in June of 2000, former Governor George Pataki and the New York Senate State Legislature created the Nassau County Interim Finance Authority, NIFA, and shortly thereafter, the directors named Lori A. Giardina as its corporate secretary. And whereas with the assistance of Lori A. Giardina, the directors have held almost 18 years of public meetings, which have been organized, scheduled, and documented successfully with the assistance of Ms. Giardina. And whereas Lori A. Giardina has been invaluable in helping NIFA and its staff assemble and file numerous reports and assisted in NIFA's substantive work of assisting Nassau County to recover its fiscal health. And whereas Ms. Giardina, through her cooperative attitude and good humor, has helped each of the directors and staff accomplish their assigned tasks in a timely manner. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the directors of NIFA, on behalf of themselves, the staff of NIFA, the people of Nassau County, and the state of New York, wish to express our appreciation to Lori A. Giardina for her contribution to the successful operation of NIFA and wish her well in all of her future endeavors. Thank you.
Here, here.
Here, here. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Your gift of a new car is waiting in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Second?
All in favor, aye.
Aye.